Thank you for watching TVnri, and we are here since we all know the provincial elections are coming up on June the 2nd. Today we are visiting MPP Erim Mississauga part, and he's MPP at this moment. So we are visiting his office and gonna know and talk to him about his future plans and the way his campaign is working on. So, Mr. Sheref, how are you?
I'm good, thank you very much for being.
So since elections happening on June the 2nd, so what's your plans for the riding?
We are about to issue our platform for the
Yes.
coming election, which will contain a lot of different issues, tackling different issues. But we are, as a government, it's going to be continuation of A, what we plan to do since day one we have been doing. B, whatever we learned from our 4 years, which is we got aware of, and we are adding it to the platform. So in any directions, being it health, education, infrastructure, seniors, it have to be covering all those.
Yes. Since you are probably already visiting residents of your riding
Yes.
for the election, upcoming election, so what kind of response you are?
Okay, I'm getting very good response. Like majority of the people think that our government did what they needed to do.
Yes.
Some of the people have some concerns, which is very normal in a crisis. Everybody could think that maybe things were handled better in this or that.
Yes.
That's understandable. Every person have his own opinions and his own priorities. So you could find somebody who thinks that the government's doing a great job, but they shouldn't close the gyms, for example. Like it's one item thing, but this item is really very affecting him, annoying him that much that he don't care about anything else, but they close the gyms, or they close the schools, or they did the lockdown, or they're forcing us to carry a certificate, or whatever is the issue, because when there's a crisis, there's a polarization. So everyone have different opinions about different things, but as a government, we have to look into the overall picture. We look at everything, 360 degrees about everything, and the effect of one item in the rest of the model kind of thing. So we could be looking into lots of things which average person might not be looking into. But in general, the feedback we are getting on the door is very positive, very good percentage. And the people who have some issues, some of them have some issues. They still think that we did okay, but could be better if we did this, which is, again, that's a very nice sector. And there is I would say 1/3 of the population is still not decided. So they didn't lean towards here or there.
Okay.
They're saying, we'll wait and see, we'll hear what you are guys going to be doing. And that's giving me some indication that they are okay, but we need to understand what you're going to do the next period of time. So they are not anti or they are not opposition. And I can maybe say one of the things which I really would love to say. I was knocking one of the doors she's as soon as she sees me and she said, like, you're conservative. I said, yes, I'm the government. And she said, I'm a teacher.
Okay.
So I didn't vote for you before. Most of all, I'm not going to vote for you now. And I'm not going to vote for conservatives in the future.
Okay.
But for the records, you guys did a good job. And for me, that's good enough, because some people are ideologically, they are not going to change their minds about conservative or NDP or liberal. But at the end of the day, they need to think, they need to know that we did our best. And that's most important for me. Like the most important item for me is I did my best, irrelevant. All the parties, like there's no partisan when there is a crisis. Everybody's doing their best. Nobody's thinking about conservative or liberals or NDP. So if somebody liberal ideologically, and he's saying, I will never vote conservative, telling you did a good job, I think that's a very comforting testimony for me.
So since you actually mentioned a teacher, so what's your plans for your riding for the education?
Okay, in education, actually, we are very lucky to have a Minister of Education like Minister Lachi, who's our Minister of Education. He is very responsive, very humble, listen to the people. He is in my riding every few months. We did many things in the riding. One of the things which I'm really happy about is we had some issues in the racism in Peel.
Okay.
And for many years, education trustees have been raising the issue. Parents have been complaining. And for 12 years of liberal governments, nobody did anything. Nobody tackled the issue. Mm-hmm. When I took over the office and they started talking to me about that issue, I talked to TVnri. We did an investigation committee. We gave ultimatums to the school board to give us information. They didn't move quickly enough. We gave them a warning. The superintendent resigned, and Minister Lecce already appointed a superintendent who is working on the issues, and for the first time, racism in Peel become an issue which was tackled. He is there. He just nailed it on the head, saying we can't have any racism issue in Canada when we are multicultural.
Yeah.
So and that was good. Second thing, when we were doing the visits to the schools, there was lots of complaint about the budget for maintenance. Like the schools have been neglected maintenance. There was no budget for maintenance. So we did a lot of funding for HVAC renovations. Schools which have what you call it, portables, which is like a class in the middle of nowhere, like it's like just a box.
Yes.
That's not good for the school.
Yes.
Insulation is not good. Ventilation is not good. For some kid to go from the class to the washroom in the building, for example, you have to go through the snow. That's a really very not good thing. And we did, I think 3 schools have been having money to build instead of those portables.
Good.
So those portables are gonna go forever.
That's pretty good. Since you're Parliament Assistant to Minister of Tourism, Heritage and Sports and Culture.
Yeah.
So the tourist industry has been hit badly.
Absolutely.
So what's your plans?
First of all, I need to educate maybe the audience about tourism, because lots of people don't think that Canada is a touristic country. Absolutely not. Mm-hmm. Like Ontario receive every year, the GDP of my ministry is $75 billion a year. Mm-hmm. We contribute $75 billion to the Ontario budget. This is, just to give you an understanding about how big this number is, this is bigger than agriculture, forestry, and mining together.
Wow.
So tourism is a very big for Ontario. So yes, it got hit, yes. And there's nothing we could do to help the hit, because
True.
They are getting tourists from US. So if there is no borders passing, there will be no tourists. We did our best to accelerate local tourism, domestic tourism from within Ontario, Discover Ontario thing, and it worked to some extent. Not as good, of course, as the millions of tourists which we used to get from US. We actually did state tax credit, so you can get up to $1,000 every family to go and spend some time somewhere within Ontario. So if you've gone to a trip, you register that, you will get rebate of $1,000 from the costs, which is again incentive for people to start spending in tourism. But we did lots of programs to help those businesses to sustain the business until the borders open. And I'm glad to tell that there's a lot of people, feedback I'm getting is everything is picking up. Hopefully this summer is going to be very strong summer for Ontario. Stay tuned for that.
True. Since it's a holy month of Ramadan.
Yes.
So what's your message to the community?
Well, we actually, I did visited few mosques and few groups, and I wish all the Muslims celebrating, observing Ramadan, the holy month, and fasting. I wish all the people, Muslim people in Mississauga, in Ontario, in Canada, and in the world, Ramadan Mubarak for everyone. I grown up in my own home country, Egypt, which is majority Muslims, with some 20% of Christians. I used to enjoy Ramadan because Ramadan means a lot of foods, a lot of iftars, suhoors. People stay in the restaurants till 2 a.m. in the morning. It's like a big fun. Ramadan, the people can pray, can fast, can give out to the community, give back to the community, do a lot of charity work. And also at the same time, it's a very good opportunity for the families to get together, social activities, friends get together, gathering together. And I have a very strong Pakistani Muslim community in Mississauga Riding here, and they do a lot of events, and I enjoy being with them. Absolutely.
That's nice.
Looking forward for it.
Okay, is there any event being held because it's a Sikh Heritage Month, Sikh Heritage Month going on?
Yes, there's some celebrations. Like we used to have a very nice festival in Square One in Celebration Square called the Bollywood Nights, and that was amazing, beautiful. But across the whole GTA, there's many, like especially in Brampton. I attended one event in Brampton which had like maybe close to 25,000 people.
Yes.
Amazing. Everybody's dancing in the same thing, like you can hear it, like dip, dip, dip. Very nice. But yes, there's many festivals happens in every city, and Mississauga have its own share of that. In Celebration Square, we have the South Asian festival, which Arshad Mahmood is taking care of. Usually, it hosts a lot of South Asian dancing, and also they have the South Asian Film Festival in Cineplex. They invite stars from India, singers from India. It's amazing. It's amazing.
So, okay, let's get back to the politics again.
Yes.
So, NDP and Liberals,
Yes.
they have increased carbon tax big time. And we are already actually the peoples and market, everything is suffering after the corona, even though during the corona. What are your plans to actually support your riding?
Okay, first of all, as a conservative government, provincial government, we refused and rejected the carbon tax, and the federal government enforced it, and we had to go to the court. We got to the Supreme Court, and unfortunately, by the Constitution, they have the right to. So basically, the court is saying, it's not saying that the carbon tax is good or bad. The court is saying they have the right to enforce it. So we couldn't stop it from happening. All what I'm saying, I will advise you and your respected audience is, every time you stand in the pump and pay like $200 to fill your gas tank, you know exactly what this carbon tax cost you. Not only for your car, but every single item you buy have a transportation element into it. So when the gas price goes from $1.10 to $2 almost, that means almost 40%. Watch the prices, it will go very high in everything from milk, eggs, bread, because it have element into it. Even the bread, like you are baking bread, that means you are consuming some energy to bake it. That will cost money.
True.
Your bills at home, watch your gas bill, watch your electricity bill, it's gonna go up. So just like if you want to ask me what's the impact of that on business, I'll tell you, forget about business. What's the impact in you as a resident, in your household, just watch it and you will know exactly why we were objecting, why we were trying to stop it. And as a government, we moved on and we did another cut of 5.7 cents per liter to try to help residents to cope with this pricing.
True.
Again, like the problem with that is we cut 5.7, they put 11. We cut 4.3, they put 7.8. So like you don't even feel the cuts, even those translated to millions and sometimes billions of dollars. It doesn't. The end user doesn't feel it because every time we do a small, like a cut, they put double the ad. So we don't feel that there is a cut, you know.
So, okay, my personal question to you. Do you think this carbon tax will help with the climate change?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
Because Canada's share in the emission globally, I think it's around 3%. Like US, China are like in the 30 some each. So even if I reduce my two, like I did zero emission, and the States is still putting 35% of the global, how that's gonna affect my environment? Can I say that I have a good environment when this emission is coming from the US? And it's also will end up with all those factories, and instead of having a reasonable restrictions here to move across the border to Buffalo, and has no restriction, do whatever.
I mean,
So that will end up all the factories leaving Canada going to the States because we are too restricted for them, too expensive for them. I don't think this is gonna solve the problem. Yes, we have to look for a solution, which we did. We introduced incentives to get manufacturers to reduce their emission, not by penalizing them, not by being similar to a fine. For you manufacture, you emit, pay a fine. That's not the right way to control that. And I don't know how long we're going to be able to sustain that when the end user or the constituent is suffering from the pricing, which has gone really out of control.
okay, at the end, would you like to highlight any accomplishments of your party and yours?
Well, I think in maybe the 3 years or 4 years, past 4 years in Mississauga, talking about Mississauga specifically, in the past 4 years, me and my colleagues, the 6 MPPs from Mississauga, from the Conservative Party, have done to Mississauga, which I don't think any other provincial government did. Like we get the LRT tying up Brampton
Okay,
vertically all the way to Lake Shore.
okay,
We already got another corridor in Dundas is getting ready now to put shovel to the ground. So another LRT would be parallelly on Dundas to link us to the subway in Islington. We have the project for the Mississauga Hospital, the biggest hospital in Canada in the Canadian history. It's going to be in Mississauga. In the same spot where Mississauga Hospital currently is.
and the Trillium Hospital?
The Trillium Hospital on Ontario and Queensway.
Sure.
It's going to be the biggest emergency in Canada.
Wow.
So that's one thing. Another thing, we did long-term care beds. Like in 12 years of Liberal government, they put 611 beds in Ontario. The 6 of us brought to Mississauga 1,884 beds, longer-term care beds in Mississauga only. 3 times the amount the Liberals brought to the whole Ontario, we brought to Mississauga. 30,000 long-term care beds for Ontario, for whole Ontario. So we managed to get our fair share of long-term care beds, and long-term care beds actually help the health system, help the hospital, because I can now round the case very quickly and move it to a long-term care and free the bed of the hospital to be used as hospital bed as quickly as possible. This is a way we can reduce the whole way healthcare. We want anyone to walk in the hospital to have a bed ready to get in the hospital and get taken care of. That's one. I think that's one of the biggest items. In talking about other projects, I would like to highlight that in my riding we get $45 million to rebuild the South Common Community Center, which is the biggest community center in the West End. And I've been there for 40 some years. I've been one of the landmarks of Mississauga Erim Mills. So we got enough money to rebuild it, to make it state of the art, top age community center with many services, renewed services and new services as well. So I think that's one of the biggest projects I'm proud of. long-term care is very remarkable. The hospital is very remarkable. The LRT is remarkable. We did widen the highway between Mississauga and all the way between Mississauga and Milton. So that's another stage to get the highway more capacity, our 401. Now we are talking about 413 as a government. 413 is gonna pass by my riding Erin Mills here, and 413 is going to allow all the it will share the load with the 401. B, it's allowing all the trucks to avoid going through the middle of the town. So it will cut a lot of the time for the trucks to go outside northern of Ontario, Toronto, without having to go through the GTA congestion, which I think will make much more flow for the trucks, and in the same time will allow the 401 for the standard cars, less trucks on the 401. I would like to thank you for coming all the way to meet me in my office today, and I would like to say a few words for the audience, if you don't mind, about generally about our government, what they did in Ontario. Like, I'm not specific about talking about Mississauga, but about generally the community. We have been expanding in healthcare. We have been putting infrastructure projects. We have been putting factories. The biggest battery factory for the electrical cars for $5.1 billion. Just like we opened we opened that in Windsor, London. So we are doing all kind of factories. We want the brand made in Ontario to come back to its glory days, to put back Ontario to be the economical engine to the Canada, which have been the case, but we wanted to go back to the industrial, to have all the critical manufacturing here in Ontario, manufacturers here, not imported from outside, not only creating jobs, but also securing the needs of Ontario. During the COVID, it have been very clearly showed up that when we needed a very simple thing like a mask, we had a shortage in masks because there was no imports coming from outside. We had a really big shortage in masks. That's why I praise all the Ontario industry, which stepped up, tried to cover all what's needed. So we, in a very short period of time, a few months, we have been covering all what our needs from masks and exporting to other provinces, PPEs, and also sanitizers. I have a factory in here in the Riding, which many do distilling for spirits. They changed their line and they start producing sanitizers during the period which we needed that. So thank you very much for Ontario. Ontario have great people, great skills, great opportunities in Ontario, and we'll make sure that Ontario is open for business.
Okay, thank you so much. And
Thanks.
Upcoming days we'll visit again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I hope that after 2nd of June, you come and visit us again and we can celebrate.
Yeah, we wish you good luck for that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.